All right. How do we start this conversation? Well, here's the thing. I had an agent reach out on Instagram. I don't know, maybe it was last week, like so many of you do. And I love all of your messages, by the way. And he was a newer agent. He said, listen, where should I be spending my time? Should I be spending time in prospecting, which good kudos to him. He understands the value of proactively generating conversations. Should I be spending time there, Brandon, with for sale by owners and expired listings? Or should I be spending my time doing some type of circle prospecting? So this is a great question and one that I get quite often. And we're going to spend some time really diving into this so that you can take action from today's video and we don't contribute to your mental masturbation, but rather you take action on the information. Yeah. So that's going to be my attempt today. Now, before we jump into this, this will not be for most of you. This will be for the few. I still have a lot of you reaching out on Instagram saying, hey, want to have a conversation about working with you as my coach. How do I do that? And so for the very, very few of you that are committed to the goals that you actually have, and you're serious about succeeding in this business of real estate sales, I'll put a link. It's going to be right in the description beneath this video. Click it. We can have a conversation. Through that conversation, it becomes clear if working together has any value for either one of us. So we'll have that conversation, and then through that conversation, determine next steps. All right. Now, let's talk about this thing. Really, where I think this starts is I'm going to say something that some of you may find, you may get mad at this. Just bear with me for a second. All right. So let me get through it, and then you can say, that's rubbish. I don't agree with that, Brandon. Okay, fine. You could be the judge of that in just a second. I'm going to say that if you're looking at where should I be spending my time, circle prospecting or for sale by owners or expireds, I'm going to say that circle prospecting, as you think of it, should probably be the last thing that you'd ever want to do. Now, when I say that, there's a caveat. That does not mean that you should be spending all of your time going after for sale by owners and expired listings. Let me explain exactly what it is I'm talking about. So when we look at this, we're going to look at a couple different things. When I say you should never, ever circle prospect, or rather that circle prospecting should be your the last thing that you should do, what I'm referring to, all right, so that we're 1,000% on the same page, is to do what I think a lot of agents are doing. And they say, okay, I'm going to pick a neighborhood. I'm going to draw my little map. Maybe you're a Vulcan 7 user, or you're using some type of platform to get data. I'm going to draw this little circle around this neighborhood, and there's all these houses. And I'm going to select all these houses, and I'm going to load them up, and I'm going to cold call all of them. Well, the reason why I say that would be the last thing, or the last area that you would want to spend time on, is because the question that we're answering today is around being effective and being efficient at the same time. Yeah. That's what today's topic is about. So this right here, that strategy would be the last thing that I'd ever do. If the goal was to be productive and generate appointments that would turn into listings, this would be the last thing that I would do. What would I do before this, you ask? Well, let's talk about that, because this is going to be, we're still going to get into this chicken or the egg conversation. So when I refer to circle prospecting, I am referring to something different. And actually, I'm going to call it something different. So rather than call this circle prospecting, I'm going to cross that out, and we're going to call this, we'll call this demographic prospecting. So let me really get into this to have this make a lot of sense. I'll define what this is, and then I'll give you my best recommendation. All right. So demographic prospecting. Here's what I mean. Well, you tell me before, if you're still with me and you're not mad at me because I said don't circle prospect, and maybe you're like, you're nuts. I love circle. Just hear me out. So you tell me, all right, what would you rather scratch that? What do you believe would be the best use of your time? Let me give you an example. If I was going to spend the time to reach out to homeowners that had the highest likelihood that would lead me to a listing appointment where I could go there and potentially have the opportunity to earn someone's listing, where would I spend that? Well, option A, circle prospecting, is just cold call, random people. That's what traditional circle prospecting is, right? Draw the little radius and just, smile and dial, baby. That's option A. Or B, if you were to call more of a targeted group of homeowners that we know had a higher likelihood to actually sell their home, as an example, maybe you were to call a group of, we'll call them downsizers. This would make up people of retirement age. Okay. Their homes are all free and clear. And these lists are simple to get, right? Free and clear. They have a home that's 20% or more larger than the average home. And the master bedroom is on the second floor. When we look at all transactions and all the studies done here, like, this is what we're looking at, right? This is what these billion-dollar corporations are looking at when they're looking at these demographics and who to market to. We see that this group on the right, option B, is the clear winner. That the likelihood of people that put their house on the market and sell, that this group of people, as just an example, would outproduce just random shotgun approach. It wouldn't even be close. So when I say demographic prospecting, that is what I'm referring to. So now that we're on the same page, and there's many, downsizers is just one. That's just one. All right. There's many, many, many other demographics that we could go after, right? There could be, just as a couple more examples. In addition to just downsizers, we could go after absentee owners as an example. These are people who own properties where they don't live, whether that be a second home or rental property. Maybe it's a property they had inherited. If you look at a group of, call it 10,000 absentee owners versus 10,000 random homeowners, which one would there be more listings in the market? I mean, this one crushes this one every single time. So that's what I mean when I say, rather than just go shotgun random approach, that we put some demographics around being a little bit more targeted with that activity. All right. So now that we've got that definition, and I can go on and on and on. There's many, 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 many demographics that you could creating a targeted prospecting list that would yield you much better results than if you were just to randomly go after random homeowners. Now, if you do enough of it, okay, I can hear the people right now, circle prospecting is the best. I understand. If you do thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of calls, of course, you can play it's a numbers game. You can play that game. If you want to work that hard, by all means, my friend, do it. I'm just saying there's potentially a better way for you to get the result maybe you're looking for, maybe a little bit quicker, maybe a little bit easier, but it's up to you. Yeah. So it's not that you can't just cold call random humans. You do enough of it, you're going to run into somebody that says, yeah, come on over, list my house. Of course, it's like finding a needle in the haystack. You keep looking long enough, maybe you find the needle one day. It can work. All right. Now, so then we go back to the question. Well, let's talk about, so now that we're on the same page, we've got this world over here for sale by owners and we'll say expired listings. We know that this is the lowest hanging fruit, but there's some issues with that. I'm going to talk about that in just a second. So versus the world of, well, we'll just call it what it is, demographic prospecting. All right. So here's what we have to look at. On the side of the reason why for sale by owners and expired listings is something that a lot of people talk about being a lead source that most should go after, which I agree, by the way, is number one, it's for sure, the fastest path towards money for realtors. I mean, there's just nothing that can even compare in our industry than a for sale by owner or an expired listing. There's no other lead source that has a faster turnaround time that would lead you to earning money than those two lead sources. There's nothing. You could literally call an expired listing today and by tonight have a signed listing contract. 1 day turnaround time. Same thing with the for sale by owner. So it's the fastest path towards money. There's no other lead source that has a conversion like that. So that's great. It's amazing. That's the upside. That's why so many people go after it. Now, the downside of that, right? So we'll call this upside. The downside, and I think this is why the agents were asking, the downside is it has tons of competition, right? Anything that has opportunity that would lead a realtor to a lot of money is going to have a lot of people competing for that business. And you know this. You don't need me to sit here on this YouTube video and tell you this. You already know this, that you call an expired listing at 8:15 in the morning, and you're going to hear the person say, well, you're the 30th agent to call me. You already know that. Same thing with the for sale by owner. Man, all I hear is from you realtors. Okay, well, we know why now, because it's the fastest converting lead in the industry. So that's the downside. The other downside is location. What I mean by location is you don't get to decide where the expired listings are per se. You don't get to decide where that for sale by owner in your market is in that market. Yeah, you just get what you get. You don't have a choice in the matter. So you may find, okay, an expired listing comes up tomorrow morning, and geez, it's 40 minutes across town. Ideally, I would not like to have a listing 40 minutes there, 40 minutes back. Ideally. So that's what I mean by location. For sale by owner, geez, that thing, man, it's a 50-minute drive to get to that thing, right? This is what I hear all the time. So it's not ideal. What's another downside? Another downside is the product. Again, you don't get to decide on the product in which you sell. Expired listings oftentimes, maybe not all the time, but oftentimes are properties that have a condition that would be less than desirable versus the property that, well, probably one of the reasons it expired, yeah? Property that has great condition doesn't expire. So what are you left with? Well, if you look at all the expired listings, not all the time, but there's a large portion of the time that those properties, again, have less than desirable condition. Same thing with price point, another downside. So, right, you don't get to decide the price point in which you work. So these are all the downsides. But again, it's the fastest towards money. Okay, now the demographic prospecting, or we'll just put in circle prospecting, everything is just opposite, right? So where this would be the upside, this would be the downside on this side. The downside is it's slow to convert. And we know how realtors are with instant gratification, don't we? Wink, wink. I mean, geez, if you don't get results in minutes or hours or days, you are off chasing the next shiny object. Yeah, I mean, let's just be honest. So these are slow to convert. Sometimes these take 6 months to get your first listing. Heck, sometimes it might take 12 months to get your first listing. And most agents are like, oh my gosh, I can't wait that long to get paid. So that would be the downside. However, the upside would be the exact opposite of where the downside would be on for sale by owners. There is no competition, right? You get to pick the location. You just pick wherever you want. Just go decide, I want to prospect in that area of the market. Great. You get to decide. You get to pick the product. I want to, you know what? I'm going to spend all my time prospecting those newer homes that just got built in the last 5 to 10 years. I'm going to focus on that product. I like that product. It's easy to sell. It's got great condition. I don't have to worry about new roofs and furnaces going. You get to pick that. Yeah. And price point. You get to pick the price point you get to work in. So these are all the upsides. So the question that first we have to answer is, okay, if you had the choice to say, okay, you can either pick a listing that has a ton of competition where you're going to get beat up on your commission like crazy. It's in a location that you don't probably want to work if you had to decide. It's a type of property that is less than desirable at a price point that is way lower than where you'd want to be. Or you can pick a listing wherever you want, the type of property you want, and the exact price point you want with absolute no competition at a full commission every time. Which type of listing would you want? Okay, so now we've got another problem. All of you are saying, well, yeah, all of you are saying I'd rather have this type of listing, but they take a long time to get. So Brandon, what do I do? This is my whole question. This is that chicken or the egg. So the recommendation is this. Let's just say that you have a business plan. I know after you get done laughing, you come back to reality and say, yeah, Brandon, sure, business plan. Okay, that was a joke. Don't get mad. All right. So let's just say your business plan says that you have this goal that you want to make $150,000 per year. Fine. And as a result, I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but let's just say that you do a business plan. You followed some of my other videos. You built a business plan and you said, okay, I need to do 30 contacts a day. And the question again is, where should I spend my time in those 30 contacts? Here's what I would tell you. If you are an agent who needs what we would say cash flow as fast as possible, you need cash flow as fast as possible. You're going to build a business model that would have 75% of these contacts in what we would call transactional lead sources. Expired listings and for sale by owners. Maybe you can even put in there probate. Okay, great lead source. And then 25% of the other contacts that you make can be in your pipeline type of lead sources. So this would be like downsizers. This would be like absentee owners. Yeah, this would be like bullseye prospecting, right? Lead sources of that nature. This would be like just listed, just sold. Those types of sources where, remember, you get to pick all of those, yeah? And so this is how I would distribute these contacts. So if you needed 30 contacts per day in order to hit your goal for the year, we'd say, okay, if I need cash flow, if I'm the type of agent, I'm just getting started, I need cash flow. If that's the goal, then 75% of 30 means that you need 22 contacts per day with those transactional lead sources, expireds, for sale by owners, probates. Yeah, would it be your cream of the crop listings? Probably not. But you need money. You've got to get cash. So you've got to do what you've got to do. And then the other 7 contacts I'd spend in your building your pipeline, going after pipeline business. That's how I would spend my time. Number 2, if I already had business going, but I wanted to scale, my listings, I might do this differently. I might do the exact opposite. I might say I want 75% of my contacts in pipeline because I want to go after leads with no competition. I don't want to deal with all that. I don't want to run around town, drive an hour here, drive an hour there. I don't want to do any of that. I want to be able to pick the type of property. I want to pick where I work. I want to pick, I want to choose the type of business I service. And I want no competition. And I want really good listings. Okay, cool. So 75% of yours is going to be doing some of the things that we just talked about in that circle prospecting / demographic prospecting niche, where you get to pick the neighborhoods, pick the type of properties, et cetera, et cetera. And 25% of the time, you can go after transactional business. Yeah. For sale by owners, expireds, et cetera. So if you are the type of agent right now, you already are doing 10, 20, 30 deals per year, and you're just trying to get more listings, we would go after what we would call a pipeline model. Yeah. We'd go after a pipeline model. And then lastly, maybe you're in the middle. Maybe you said, okay, well, I've got a little bit of business for my sphere of influence. I'm getting some referrals here and there, so I'm not broke. I've got money coming in, but I want to do more, and I want to do more by getting more listings. And so maybe we would build out a balanced business model where, okay, so we split this up. 50% can be in transactions, 50% can be in pipeline. So 50% of your remember, 30 contacts a day. So we can make 15 contacts a day with expired listings and for sale by owners. And we can go 15 contacts a day with, maybe absentee owners and downsizers. And you split this up. So it's a very nice, healthy distribution of conversations. So you've got a nice, well-balanced listing inventory. And so maybe that's what you do. And so as I think about, okay, where should you spend your time? It depends. It depends on where you're at financially in your career. And if you needed money as soon as possible, well, then you're not worried about what type of listing you have, just that you get one. So I'd be going all in on those transactional types of lead sources, right? The for sale by owners and the expired listings. As I further my career, as I start to build up more cash flow, as I build a bigger reserve, as I start to get repeat clients, as I start to get referrals, as my sphere of influence starts to respond to me, then I'm going to start to shift from the transactional type of lead sources, and I'm going to go after more quality type of lead sources, right? Like those downsizers, I'm going to pick the neighborhoods and where I want to spend my time. Maybe I'll do some bullseye prospecting where I'm really focusing on an area that has listings that sell with multiple offers, where we know that buyers want to buy. And so now I can use that information to go and cultivate opportunities in the areas in which I want to serve. And so I can do that later in my career. So that's kind of the way I see, how do we spend our time cultivating leads and acquiring new business?